Can you remember a time that someone said something to you when you were a kid and it just hit you? And then you realize years later that it was actually probably pretty rude and you just remembered it. And you remembered it for years. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today. But first, if you like my videos, would you give it a thumbs up and subscribe? I would really appreciate it. So this year I'm choosing the word undeterred. Not because it means like I'm fearless. It just means that I'm not going to let things stop me. It means I'm going to stop letting old moments or old stories in my head rule my life. So I'm going to give you an example of what I mentioned at the opening. So years later, I had this light blue outfit. I loved it. I mean, I felt confident. I felt good in my body, which, let's be honest, doesn't really happen very often. I know for women and for men too. And this girlfriend of mine, I mean, I was like 14, and she said it really casually. She said, "You don't look good in light blue. It really like washes you out." I mean, I felt sick to my stomach. I mean, she probably already forgot that she even said it, but I didn't. And you know, literally, I never wore that light blue for years, decades. Not because I didn't like it, but because that comment became a rule in my head. Don't wear light blue. And I never questioned it. You know? That's how this stuff works. It's not usually trauma with a capital T. No, it's the little comments that lands when you're open, when you're young, or you're trying to belong. And we don't argue with them. We absorb them. Then we spend lives, all our lives, editing ourselves to prevent us from getting hurt again like that. You know, and I see this a lot in my clients. In fact, one client, total successful grown-up guy, told me about a moment in school where he got called out in class in front of everyone, put on the spot. His mind went blank and his face got hot. He panicked and he ran into the boys' room and sat in the stall and he was terrified. And when he brought up that story, because we were talking about courage, when he told me that, he said, "I think part of me is still there." And I knew exactly what he meant. Because every time he's asked to speak up, like to stand out, even though he's super successful, he turns in a little bit on himself and gets like anxiety and panic attacks and feels like he's still that little kid hiding in the bathroom. See, that's the thing. Our bodies don't live in time the way our minds do. Our soul remembers. So another client of mine, Sue, she grew up loving food. Not in a disordered way, it's just that she took pleasure in it. The experience, the joy, all the yums. And at a family gathering one time, someone laughed at her and said, "If you keep eating like that, you're going to be like a fat pig. You're going to get obese." And everyone laughed. And she was horrified. In that moment, it taught her something. Not about food, but about pleasure. She learned that enjoying something openly made her a target. That desire was embarrassing. That joy should be muted. For the rest of her life, she felt judged. Judged any time she showed enthusiasm for food, success, excitement, anything. That's shame. And shame doesn't make us better. It makes us smaller. And it grows in silence. So what does it actually mean to be undeterred? My word of the year. You know, it doesn't mean you're going to pretend that things don't hurt. Not at all. We're human. It just means that you stop letting them decide who you get to be. And you know, there's actually a process to this I'd love to share. First, you name it. You say, that moment changed me all those years ago. That comment made me shrink. That's where I learned that I was too much of something. You know, you're not going to blame. You're just telling the truth about what that moment really was. And second, you let yourself feel it. That part that nobody likes, me either. You don't have to feel it dramatically. You just have to feel it honestly. The sadness, the anger, the grief. See, feelings move when they're felt. They stay stuck when they're avoided. And third, you forgive. You forgive yourself for believing it, for adapting, for surviving the way you knew how. And you forgive others too, not because it was okay, clearly not, but because carrying resentment keeps you tied up in that moment, a memory. And forgiveness truly is a release and a freedom. And so fourth, you release the old rule. And ask yourself, Why did I stop wearing that? Because of this. Like, what part of me did I silence? Why did I not wear light blue? And then you stop obeying that rule. The rule needs to be rewritten. And fifth, you let the shift show up in your body and in your spirit. You wear the color. You speak even if your voice shakes. You enjoy what you enjoy without explaining it. See, your nervous system, it learns safety through action, not affirmations. You got to take the actions, boo. And finally, this part matters very, very much. You encourage others in the places where you were told you were too much. Encourage others and courage, to give courage to others. Because where you were shamed, that's where your gift lies oftentimes. Isn't that amazing? So, if you were told you were too loud, your voice heals people. Too sensitive, your empathy is powerful. Too indulgent, your capacity for joy is medicine for others. So undeterred isn't about being tough. It's about being faithful to yourself. It's choosing again and again not to let those childhood moments, those words, be your script as an adult. So again, wear the light blue, take up space, enjoy your life. And when the old voice shows up, because you know what? It will. You can say, I see you, but I'm moving forward anyway. And that's undeterred. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Kate McKay, and until next time, stay courageous, my friends.